Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. And good morning to you, Steve, by the way. Christina, Rod, Joe, it's very nice to see you all and everyone else who is out there watching who's not in the chat or whom I've forgotten. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you also for asking. I'm feeling a bit better, so it's nice. Hello, Chris. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I'm looking at myself in the half in the camera here, and I've got these bags underneath my eyes. I look a bit like Derek, don't I? It's one of those things. Don't know if you know Derek, but yeah, it's kind of the cold is still in me, but I'm off the pills, which is nice. So that's good. I'm fit enough to do this thing without the pills. I'm gonna do some bouncing around between Blender and DAZ Studio and Photoshop. I've got this weird workflow going. There's a particular look that I'd like to get going, and I thought I'll go and share that with you. I've done that when I started the DAZ Studio 101 series, and those numbers have a really distinct look to it, and I can't really recreate that in Blender. Don't know why, so it's a convoluted thing. I'm just gonna do it the way I think it might work, and perhaps today isn't gonna be the fail stream like it was yesterday. I have a few bitrate issues here, so don't know why my stream, my OBS keeps going into the red, but hey. Quick personal note. I've just heard back from somebody at Vimeo. I don't know if you've seen my 2 videos I've made on my personal channel about the fact that I've got some issues with Vimeo. It all started as a story in which I submitted a bug report. So I was kind of trying to be helpful there and saying, hey, this is something, the blackmails, that's right, Christina. I was trying to report a bug, something's wrong with the interface, and somebody got back to me literally 3 weeks ago now, and it was all terrible. So they said, well, you know, that wasn't really a bug. It's something that is, your account was flagged as spam, and by the way, you need to upgrade to something that costs you triple the amount of money that you're currently paying as a Plus member. And it all got really ugly, and the case was escalated. And just now, literally 10 minutes ago, I finally heard back after 3 days of waiting for Vimeo to get back. After 3 days of waiting, they got back to me and said, hey, you can keep your Plus account if you make all your videos public and you remove all the soliciting donations at the bottom of the description. I didn't know that was the problem. Nobody ever told me that. It was a link in the description that was the problem for them, not the videos themselves. They can be on Vimeo, they can be public. It's just that in the description there mustn't be a link. Isn't that amazing? Unbelievable. One of those things. Thank you so much for following Ben Solop. I appreciate that. Very cool. So yes, bizarre stuff. Currently I'm on the Pro plan. I'm thinking of remaining there for the time being. It's just, I feel totally uneasy, and it's weighing heavy on my mind. I just wanted to share that with you. So there is hope for the Plus plan yet. I haven't reached out to the guy yet. Dan is his name, so I'll see if that, you know, I'll see if that resolves itself peacefully. Yes. One of those things. Anyway, let's get going with some numbers. Let me show you what look I'm trying to go for, and I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but this is the thumbnail for my new series, Streaming 101. I've got 8 episodes ready to go. I've been working all day today on it. The audio bed wasn't quite, the music bed wasn't quite the way I wanted it, so I had to do some re-editing and tweaking there and checking everything, because it's one of those series that's, I have a feeling it's going to be popular and there'll be thousands of views on there, and I just want to make sure this is right. And yes, everything is now on YouTube. It's unlisted currently. I can actually give you a little link there. Bear with me. I will give you an unsolicited link to the unlisted playlist, and if you are interested, you can have a look at that. The only thing I still need to do is literally the what's it called, the thumbnails and descriptions. So they're not there. That's all something that I'll do tonight and tomorrow morning. That's the plan. But I will go and put that link into the chat now, if and when I find it. And this is what the thumbnails are going to be about. So there are no thumbnails on the videos yet, but that's the plan, to create them. As he noodles around, hopefully finds it. It is so difficult to extract the URL of a playlist in YouTube, isn't it? You'd think it's something that should be so easy, but it's actually not. Thank you, YouTube. We appreciate that. I believe this is it. So Streaming 101 early access. 8 episodes. What's missing also is an introduction for me. Yeah, the thing is, Steve, with the thing. Oh yeah, hello, Brian. Welcome back. I hope you don't get blown away. The thing with the Vimeo Plus account is it allows you more storage, but they really want you to subscribe to the Pro account, which then allows you to do all kinds of commercial stuff with it. So the commercial, anything commercial, they deem as something when you embed a video on your website, that's commercial. And if you have private videos that you have give people early access and all that kind of Patreon connection, very, very tricky. So somebody on Reddit reported that when you connect your Patreon account to Vimeo, that Vimeo pick that up and that they say, well, unless you have a pro plan, you must have one. And if you don't, we're going to delete your account. And that's just ugly business tactics there. Very crazy. So anyway, I hope it's going to resolve itself peacefully. This is the thumbnail I had envisioned. And my early idea was that I'm just going to go and put Streaming 101, 102, 103, and then have the subject matter down here typed out. And my WP Guru logo goes in here somehow. And I'm thinking it could look much better. So I've got the earlier version of my DAZ Studio logo. Was it this one? Yes, this is it. And that's what that looks like. And I really like the look of that. And that's what I tried to do with the grass yesterday, that I have get some kind of a grass thing going. So the grass is made in Blender. Then the text is done in Photoshop on the right hand side. So this is all just typed out in Photoshop. This is a logo here that's also in Blender, that's overlaid in Photoshop. And the number, actually, this is exactly the kind of look I want to go for. I was going to create this in Blender entirely, but I just can't get the look and feel of that number right. So it's made as a typed out text object in Blender, then exported as an OBJ, then import it into DAZ Studio, where I'll apply just a regular metal shader to it. And with Iray, it just kind of renders so super quickly that I'm thinking this is exactly the kind of look and feel that I'd like for the Streaming 101 series as well. And I've made a start there by bringing in one of these numbers and just putting it in here. So it's not the lineup isn't quite correct, but literally the way this number kind of looks under there, I think I dig that kind of look. Maybe we'll make it pink or something like that. So this is what I'm going for. And this is now, it's got this edge on the bottom and the lineup isn't quite correct. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. And I'll tell you what I really, really like about the look of the number here is that it appears as if there's some kind of magic edge to it. There isn't. This is all just done because the default HDRI global illumination in DAZ Studio and the Iray engine that just makes that appear here magically. So there's no bevel or anything on here. There's just there's a small bevel, but it's much less. It's much simpler than it looks in the picture, and that's what I'm trying to go for. So there we go. Thank you, Joe. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. Do you know, Hachi, I'm so sorry I didn't even see you there. I was so involved in doing this thing. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. So, yes, let's do that. You like that one? Yes, I like that one. I like that one as well. I need something similar to that. So let's see how we can create that number in my friend the Blender from scratch. And I'll use Blender 2.82 for that. I'll start with a brand new scene here and go and add myself a text object. Before I forget, I believe Chris is gonna stream. Oh. I don't think I do, Christina. Thank you so much for the offer. I think I'll just type this out and then just generate eight numbers of that. I don't think I need remesh numbers. I missed a follower. This one of those. That's a shame. Yeah, thank you for following, Hachi. I'm so sorry. It's usually I don't miss these things, but uh, I hope you're not offended. It's just Vimeo thing is just weighing heavy on my mind. Let me go and add a text object here and see how we can, if and how we can recreate that. I'll just go and edit that with just the number 101. And I'll go and turn that over RX90. And let's go and change that into my signature font. Shape paragraph font, there it is. That's the one, exactly, DAZ 1. I don't know why I like that font so much. That's just, I don't know, I really fallen in love with it. And it's just, I don't know, it looks, I like the idea of having one consistent font, almost like a handwriting. And I guess under geometry, let's extrude that. I don't really know how much. I'm just making. I also like round numbers. So rather than something that you dial in, if I round it up or down, it's nice and easy for me to kind of comprehend what happened there. And also, I know that it's something I've put there rather than like that. That's kind of that's just arbitrarily dialed in. But if I type something in that's a round number, that works better for me, for my mind anyway. So a bevel, I'll add a little bevel to that. And I think just to make that more readable, maybe that's a nice bevel. I'll just space out the letters a little bit more. That's in paragraph perhaps. Letter spacing, there we go. Yeah, so something like that. And then once this is in DAZ Studio, I could just render this in Blender, but I haven't found a way to really get that look as impressive as it is and easy as it is in DAZ Studio with the regular Iray shader. And camera-wise, I'd like for this to just look at the camera for kind of full frontal like this. And maybe we can even do something that we extrude the number even further so that we have more to look at around these parts here. Thank you so much. That's very nice. Julia just brought me a cup of coffee. That's very, very nice of you. Julia says hi, by the way. She's going to play some Fortnite now. There's an update. Constant updates on Fortnite. And Christina says hi as well. Yeah, Photoshop does do some 3D stuff. I need to look into that. Maybe this would be much easier if we just type it out in Photoshop immediately. Let me see what happens if I extrude this even further. That might actually be, is that going to be nice? Or is that going to be terrible? It's difficult to say. Maybe that could actually add quite a bit of excitingness to the whole look. Let me do 1.5 as an extrusion. We'll just see how that, yes, that looks crazy. But if we position the camera like that, and then just make sure this is all lined up fully frontal, maybe that's going to be good. Indeed, yes, it's chapter 2, season 2, exactly, season 2, chapter 2. That's what's currently out. I'll go and save that, perhaps on my desktop, and I'll go and make a new folder for that. Perhaps we'll call that streaming 101. And I'll add that to my favorites here as well so that I can find it. Is that not, why is that not in my favorites now? You'd imagine that wasn't that just in my favorites? It doesn't do that. What a shame. Can't put that into my favorites. Blender. And I'll just call out the number so that I remember what that is. And also in here, I'll just go and make sure that's selected. I'll go and export that as an OBJ file. I'll just call it 101. I think I'll do what Chris did. So I'm going to be, I'm very inspired by you. I'm just going to go and leave everything as it is. So just tick export the selection only. And I leave the scale as it is here. And then I'll just go and tweak all that in the DAZ Studio, which, look, happens to be open already. Oh yeah, this, I can show you this. This is a number. Sadly, I don't have the numbers 101 to 108, which is exactly the numbers I need. So these are numbers that I've had in this scene, and I'll recreate that. But this is how the number is lined up there. And if I switch this over to Iray, you can see that this look that I'm going for, it just comes out, and it's just, you know, that's just what it looks like. I like it. It's very nice. So we'll try and recreate that look, but I'm not going to do it in this scene. I'm just going to go and create a brand new scene for that. And then we can mess around in here. Yes, it did look good, didn't it? And for the fact that it's just such a simple bounce it from here to there, I thought maybe it's going to be a nice little look there. And we'll go for exactly that same look. If I can only remember, streaming 101, there we go. So scale, I'm just going to go leave it at 100 and see how big that is. How small that is, should I say. I say. That is so tiny. That's embarrassing money, Penny. Let's go get rid of that and import that at like times 100. So at 10,000%, see what happens. DAZ, there we go. Is that? Oh, there we go. That's huge. 10,000, perfect, Chris, excellent. Yes, just checking. You were, Christina was asking that you are streaming at 7 p.m. today. That was the plan, because in that case, I'm making sure I'll be totally finished by that time. So last time I used, before we even get into the whole lining up the camera and locking the camera in, I'll go and head over to my surfaces here, head over to my Iray shaders, and the two I really liked I believe are they in the metal thing. The gold shader, like you say, Christina, that is a wonderful shader. That looks really nice. I also like the copper shader. That is groovy as well. Maybe I'll go and put that on there. See what the copper shader looks like. And I'll just use the default HDRI. Look at that. It's almost perfect already. That's kind of crazy. That is very cool. I don't know if I'm using my headlamp here. I may do never. That's what I like. Never is good. There, fantastico. I can also, since this is going to be kind of a 16:9, I don't have to render it in that high a resolution because it's only inset in Photoshop. But I think I'm going to go and display the thirds guide here, just so that I can line up that number properly. And I think I'm also going to show my aspect frame so that I know exactly what I'm rendering here. And I mean, quite exciting the fact that this is essentially without us having touched anything. That is really cool. I like that. I like things that just work without there having to be vast amounts of work involved. You know what I mean? It's just something. Even if it's not absolutely super perfect. I'm even inclined to have something of a light source at the very back here, because it's only 8 episodes, so there'll be for now. I mean, there will be more, but I'm thinking perhaps it might be a good idea to have something like a light source at the end of the tunnel. That might look cool. We can also, while we're here, while we're fiddling with things, let's try the gold shader. Hello, DAZ. Are you with me now? There we go. This is the gold shader. That's also popping. So I like both of them. And I love the fact that the reflections are just there. There's just no fiddling with anything. I think I'm going to keep it gold, but we can try this out. So I can render one out and we'll put it into Photoshop and we'll see what we think. There's so many cool ones. Not this one, bad example. But even nickel looks quite nice. So it gets this yellowish shade from the fact that the HDRI is yellow or like yellowish. You can also try and turn the HDRI. It's just the default one. It's kind of works nicely. It looks a little toxic, but funky. I mean, you know, green here, blue there. Very, very cool. Maybe in the tunnel. That's a good idea. Like inside the all, right? Let's put a little, just a point light inside there. That might look cool. Yeah, instead of at the back. At the back, that might be good for separation, so that we get. But I think with this, we might not even need separation. Yeah, but one literally in here. I like the idea. What else we got? Oh, that was that, and then we have that and less shiny. And then there's titanium. Maybe copper. I kind of have my mind set on this. Let's lock in the camera perspective before we go any further. Palladium. Let's have a look. Platinum, nickel, magnesium alloy, metal, cobalt. There's sadly no palladium. Cast iron I can give you. See what that looks like. Palladium would have been great. That was very funny. It's so funny, Brian. I was going to narrate another chapter earlier, and I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm totally up for that. And then I realized that my voice just isn't the same as it was 2 weeks ago. So I thought I'm going to leave that be for now. But as soon as my voice is back, I'm going to start narrating again, and then we can finish that project off. I can make another promo for that, and put the old promo on my Stream Deck as well, so we can roll that every so often. I like that. I really like that. Streaming 101. There we go. And this I'll call Streaming 101 DAZ scene, and we'll just add all the other numbers into the same place here, I'm thinking. Me too, Joe. I'm glad you like that as well. I like this color too. I think before we even render this out, let's do the little camera in the tunnel here. I'll go back to my perspective view for that and try, if I can. Actually, that should be fairly easy, shouldn't it? Create a new point light. Perhaps we'll call that tunnel light. With the default settings. And with a bit of luck, it is, oh yeah, it's not quite in the center of the word there. Okay, no problem. Let's put that kind of here-ish. Slightly further up. The temptation for me is always there to, when I'm looking through the camera, I might touch the camera accidentally, so I'm trying to avoid that. Perhaps I'll go and just look at the rendered signal here and just use the fiddling here with the perspective view, and we can have a look at the preview here through the camera. I like unobtainium even better, actually. That's very cool. It's kind of in the middle, but I think it's not got the correct brightness yet. I don't think we can we make something out here? I can't actually see. Let's put that down here. See if we make that. Oh no, actually it does have an effect. Not a big one, but it has an effect. I can just about see that here. Let me go and switch that thing away. It's a shame that we see the preview of the light, but look at the outside here. these little streaks. So if I switch the light off, then we don't see those. And I think that's exactly, when the light is on, I think that's exactly what we need there. I will make it a little bit brighter and perhaps also put that slightly further at the back of the logo. I think that might do it some good. I like the preview effect there. That's very cute. Yeah, it looks like that starlight filter. All right, let's see if we can make that brighter. Under light, I'll leave the intensity alone, and I'll just crank up the luminous flux in lumen to something like maybe 20,000. Don't want to make it too overpowering here. Do we actually see a difference? I'm just going to go and turn this to 100,000. I mean, it does change, but it's not actually making that big a difference, does it? Perhaps 5,000 is in fact enough. Let's look at it on the large screen here with Iray enabled. Yeah, I can see that working. Let's render one out and put it into Photoshop and see what it looks like in situ and see if we need to do anything else with that. So it doesn't need to be large. Like, it will probably be 1200 by whatever is enough. A new window is also enough. Default render settings are probably enough as well. Let's just see what happens. I say. Oh, more than one light, you think? Oh, that's an idea. No, I can do that. Yeah, we can see what that looks like. So I'll leave the, oh yeah, there's an automatic shadow catcher applied here, but I don't know how much shadow I'm catching in the front. So I either might have to make this edge soft in Photoshop, or I can, yeah, I think I'm going to leave the shadow in place. I think that's going to add some depth there. I can try duplicating some lights. I could do that. I could also give it a color. The light could have a color, something along the lines of, I don't know, something that complements this whole thing. So streaming 101, and I'll just making myself a new folder here. Renders, into which we shall save this thing. Let's call it 101. 101 version 1. So yeah, we don't need this number anymore. I think I can just go and I'll delete that one. No, Photoshop, not at all. I'm dragging this onto the trash can, not crazy stuff. Place embedded, a trick that I've also learned from Christina. Thank you so much for that. For years, I didn't know how to get an image into Photoshop. I used to open the file and then it would be open here like this. And then I would take that single layer and then duplicate that layer over into the document that I wanted to use it. And of course, there's a much easier way by just clicking place embedded or place linked. So place linked is something that if I change the source, it'll just reference that, whereas place embedded will put a copy of it into here. So I might actually use place linked for now. And then if I do override the 101, then that should update in Photoshop. I've never really tried that, so that could be quite interesting to see if it actually works. 101. Boom. In situ, not so bad. I mean, it is probably a little bit large, so we can make it a bit smaller, but I like it. I very much like it. That is very nice already. Very nice, look at that. So then all we need to do is get a little bit of a mask on the top of this here, so that we don't see the edge anymore that we get there. But that's really easy to do. Just a soft mask on top of the whole group, I'm thinking, and then we're already there. We can make it bigger or smaller, but I do like that look. I must say that's the kind of look I'm digging very much. And then underneath here in the same font, I'll just type out what the subject matter is, and perhaps add other logos, like, you know, aside from my own logo, if I would talk about Mixer or Twitch or whatever in the series going forward, then I can either make another logo here or just put that somewhere else. That's, you know, I like it. I like it very much. I like it. Let's see if we can make the inner thing of this even more interesting. Like you said, Christina, we'll try and duplicate the light. We'll maybe just try a different light color, so just to have a few more streaks in here. I'm interested in that. I'm also interested, just while it's on my mind, do you think it'll make a difference if we put a subdivision surface modifier onto this in DAZ Studio? Could be. Just for, you know, a laugh, as they say. If I go and go edit, object, geometry, convert to sub D, is that going to make a difference? Can't quite see that. Oh, have I done it? Oh, I think I've got mine set up to auto update. Oh, let's have a look. Help. Where was about Photoshop? On Mac and Linux, you can always click on this icon here, and it always has the about current application in here, much like Blender has. Photoshop help, about Photoshop, there we go. 2101, is that the bug version? Oh. And what's the bug? Dun, dun, dun. I do enjoy that about our streams, that we all bring so much knowledge to the table. It's it's quite exciting. Oh, that's pathetic, isn't it? Like the basics, man. Work on the basics. I'll go and duplicate that tunnel light and put this one slightly forward and just see what that difference makes. I wonder if I can also rotate it. I don't think that makes a massive difference there. But if I rotate it around the Z axis, do the streaks of light look any different? I doubt it. No, okay, so they don't, that's fine. That's fine. So maybe then the second light isn't gonna do the trick unless I'll just move that forward here, just to see what happens if we put one at the back, one at the front. See if that looks funky, or if that looks, ah, there we go. We get some interesting funky effects here. I'll show you this on the large screen. So that's without that front light on. I'll put this to texture shaded so that we can just judge one thing. So if we put the second light on, I do actually see some more intricacies around the hole here. I like it. Let's turn it just more warm. I think I'm going to go and not even touch the color of the light. I think I'll just go and adjust the temperature to something just warmer. Maybe I'll just try 4000. Maybe even lower than that. I have to do that on both lights. Actually, could even be lower than that. Let's try 3000. Yeah, I think because we want that kind of golden look there, don't we? I'm excited. This is exciting. I like it. I like it. If you do something, it's quick and easy, and you have a result to show for it. That is what I like. $21.10. Okay, and my version is dun, 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 dun. 21.0.1. Ha ha ha. Lucky me. Also, then I think I've turned off the Creative Cloud application as far as I remember. No, I haven't, but there is something in there. Oh, come on. It is the buggiest piece of ever. It's so terrible, this whole Creative Cloud application. It sucks system resources like crazy. I had to uninstall it from my MacBook because the fans were just spinning out of control just when the laptop is in idle, because this thing has 2 or 3 system services running that run all the time, and they do something I don't even want it to do, but it's, you know, it's there. So I can't even open that, but that's good, because if it's not opening itself, that's nice. I just want to make sure it doesn't auto update my applications, you know. Let's have a look. While we're on that subject, I think I've turned that off. Uninstall. Updates, yes. Enable auto update. No, I think mine is disabled, isn't it? File syncing is also paused, because when that's on, every computer, A, doesn't sync, and B, uses up, I don't know, twice the amount of power. It's crazy stuff. Do you know, I can imagine, Steve, it's about to happen to mine, which is why I thought, hey, I'm going to go and uninstall Creative Cloud. So crazy thing then, even CS6 apps in this day and age rely on this Shito app to be enabled and running. That's crazy. I have Dreamweaver CS6 and I can't use that anymore because it relies on Creative Cloud to be active. Also, very important point. CS5 and before, and CS 5.5, that's all happy, that works without this. But anything CS6 and above needs this to be installed. Otherwise, you won't be able to open the application. That is crazy. So yes, no more Dreamweaver code hacking on my MacBook for now. Unbelievable, isn't it? As long as you buy a new computer every 12 months, you'll be okay. But those of us who don't. So, okay, that looks like I'm literally several versions behind then. I think I'll keep it that way. I'm always a big believer in, if it works, you know, don't touch it. Where were we? It is, isn't it? Crazy stuff. Oh yeah, so we have these streaks here, but it's not quite illuminated. So I think it could just be a little bit brighter there. So let me just make these 2 light sources just a little bit brighter. That was 1000, wasn't it? I'm just going to go and make it 10,000. That was the idea. That's the back one, so I'll go and name that tunnel light back, and then this second one is going to be the tunnel light front. I don't see a difference, to be really honest. Why don't I? Well, but Joe, the thing is, you appreciate the outcome, and I'm thinking that's really what it's all about. I was thinking about that earlier when I was doing I'll tell you what I did earlier. I added a music bed under some of my episodes, so it's much more entertaining if there's some kind of music bubbling, like really low. It has to be really low level. And I've picked some tracks. They were really nice, but sometimes when there's a trumpet or a saxophone as a melody instrument, then if you use that as a music bubble, that particular frequency comes through and it's annoying while I'm talking, and the music appears to be too dominant, and I didn't want for that to happen. And so there is a point to my story. I'm not just rambling on. There is a point to my story. So what I did was I downloaded something they call stem mixes, which is a split up mix. So it's not a full mix of the whole thing, but it's drums separate, bass separate, and the kind of rhythmic instruments separate, as well as the melody separate. And then I put all that together, excluded the melody out of it, and then all I was left with was a really nice, relaxing piece of music that would not interrupt while I'm talking. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because that's all mega technical, and you may not be able to say this is what it was, but you will be able to hear the difference between the two versions. If I were to play them for you, you'd say, yeah, that's annoying. I can't really say why, but it is. And that one's nice. And sometimes that's what it's all about. Everyone will be able to tell, hey, something wasn't quite right with that movie, without being able to say, well, the edits could have been a little bit more tight, and there were a few kind of extra lame spaces that could have been edited out. You might not be able to articulate that, but you will be able to pick up on it. And like you said earlier, there is a picture that you liked, and you may not be able to tell it's because there's no streaks or many streaks in the middle, but you can tell, this is good and this is not good. So I'm not sure what you mean, Christina, about the reflections. You mean like literally move the position of the light, like left, right, like move that up and down a little bit? Oh, in Photoshop. Oh, in Photoshop. In Photoshop. But I still don't know what you mean, I'm afraid. First of all, actually, let's bring that. I forgot to save it, didn't I? While you bring me up to speed on what you meant, Christina, I'll go and render this again. Overlay the... I still don't know what you mean by just put this picture over the other one, like on top of it in Photoshop. Oh, that is interesting. Yes, that makes sense, doesn't it? It's a bit like, so on the inside here, I guess the tunnel is so long that the HDRI isn't in there, hence it doesn't reflect. That maybe that is what it is. That is very possible. So it's like if I were to turn the HDRI off, we wouldn't see a metal effect. So in an ideal world, can I just go and oversave that, and then Photoshop would just pick up the changed result? Nah, that'd be too easy, wouldn't it? Did that work? I can't tell. Yeah, no, absolutely, Christina, I totally agree. I just still don't really understand what you mean about the overlaying the reflections, because I don't have the reflections on a separate layer as such. Or do I? No, I don't. Should work, shouldn't it? I mean, I can't see a difference. That might just be because there is none yet. Maybe we need a more drastic change for that to be visible. I'm kind of interested to see that. If we just go and just to satisfy my my Photoshop curiosity for 1 second, if we just go and put the blue shader on this object and then render this out again and then oversave that, then that should change to blue in Photoshop, right? I just want to see that happen, and then I believe everything going forward. If it does not happen, yeah, man. Ah, blue, awesome stuff. Very cool. Notice how that doesn't actually have any reflections on the inside. That's interesting, isn't it? So only the copper thing does that. So let me go put that back to where it was. So that was the copper shader. Put the copper shader back. Boom. All right. We oversave it and Photoshop magically picks it up. This is great. Magic indeed. So if you say send it over, what exactly shall I send over then? Is it the whole Photoshop file? Shall I send that? See if Discord takes it. We don't need this, so this is just the second layer. I'll go and take that out. And this also needs to be the rendered image. Cool, cool. The rendered image, right. Sadly, the magic connection between the PC and the Mac broke, so I'm gonna have to do this on here quickly. Bear with me, Carla. I'll put that in the, wow, which channel? DAZ channel, Blender channel, DAZ Extra channel, how about Photoshop channel? It's too many channels. And you also need to tell me what you're actually doing so that I can learn from this experience. We can look at them side by side on my screen once you're done with it. Where are you, by the way? Are you at home right now? You are at home, right? Eric's old / your new laptop and all. I'll put this in DAZ Extra. If I can find DAZ Extra, there we go. That's it. And Mr. Super Disorganized, that goes in here. Boom. Woo. All right, it's uploading, Christina. How exciting. Thank you for your help. So in the meantime, I think we can, there is actually something that I'm thinking now with this oversaving. This is actually working really well for me. So I could literally export this whole thing out from DAZ every time, and I can just go and, no, I don't, no, forget it. I'm talking nonsense again. So if this is a nice size, I think I'm gonna go, while Christina's working on the image, I might work on a mask here that will, whoops, that will work, that will make sure the whole, there's a bit of a soft border around this. So the only way I know how to do that is by switching something off that lets me see the whole image, which isn't easy. Because I don't know, the top bit is actually fine here on the image. So all I need to do is work on this kind of border here. Yeah, like that. All I want to do is make the border a little bit smaller. Woo! And then you're out of here. All right, cool. And refresh my memory. So the how do I do this? I'm gonna, I think I create a selection from this. I think, let me see if this works. So create a selection from that. No, actually, it's a selection already. We'll invert the selection so that anything outside is selected. And I think, is that how we do that? Man, You say that in 5 words, Christina. To a mind like mine, that's like a 7-hour job, you know, just to comprehend that. I think the principle is kind of clear to me, but so in the easiest thing I could do is I'll go and just put a mask on here, and then I could just go and take this, paint on the, no, that's not it, this one, and just paint on the mask like that, right? But because I haven't got a tablet and I'm super terrible at drawing, what I sometimes do is, instead of drawing freehand, I'll just create a rectangular selection, and then I just soften that border and then just fill it with black, essentially. That's how I do that. And that kind of works. I mean, this also worked, and for YouTube thumbnails, probably, you know, probably fine to just do this, and then we're kind of done with it. But, you know, I thought there was a way to just go and create a border and do that. There's a more elegant way of doing this, is what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, this works, and it's, you know, it's probably sufficient for this exercise. I'm just thinking there is a better way of doing this. let me work out if I can do it. So I'll just go delete the mask quickly. And there was a quick way and there was a complicated way of doing it. It had something to do with the selection. Let's try that. Let's try it again. Let's go. Selection does this, I think. I think then I invert it. I think this could go horribly wrong, of course. And then I can feather it and then just fill it with something on the mask. So modify and go feather. Perhaps 50 might be a bit much, but maybe 20, maybe 50 is good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it works. So then I should be able to go and create the mask. See, now I've got it almost there. It's just that I did it the wrong way around. And the feathering was a bit too much, I guess. Almost. Okay, let's take another stab at it. Put the mask away. Reselect. That's not a good idea. Let's not reselect. Let's make it. Let's do it manually. Manual reselection process. Did you know, by the way, that Bernie Sanders has a Twitch channel? It's very cool. He was live there earlier. It's very cool. So let's not inverse it, and instead let's go and just feather it with maybe 20 pixels. Let's try that, and then we'll make a mask, and then it's kind of done what I wanted it without having to use a brush. That's what I wanted to do. Now I remember how to do it. It's not perfect, but at least, you know, it doesn't have any crooked drawingness that I did there. Maybe I will make it 30 pixel feather, just because, you know, then I know if and how it works. I do admire other creatives when they just go and, like Christina, you can just do this without even thinking about it in a way more easy way. And every time I start with these things, it's just so difficult to extract that from my brain. These very relatively simple things. I mean, like the whole series, you know, case in point, it could be online literally a week ago, but yeah. Let's try 30. And then go and add that mask. Hey, maybe that was better. Actually, no, 20 was better, wasn't it? And now I can see the kind of outline here. Not a lot, but it's just, you know, something I'm picking up. Yeah, let me try this one more time. Practice makes perfect. Make the border slightly wider, or my selection slightly wider. And go and modify feather 30 good. Don't know, let's try. Yes, look at that. I think that's nice. I like that. All right, perfect. Well, so now all we need to do then, I guess, is just keep cranking out other numbers and putting them in the same place. And sadly, there's no easy pipeline for this. So I'll go and save this. So we have to go back to Blender, type out the number, export the numbers, and then import them in DAZ. And then just, it's only 8 numbers, so let's get cracking. Looks good to me too. Let's do this. Let's go Blender first. Yes, the camera position in Blender didn't actually matter because we're just exporting that object. That was just to just get a visual here. And since it is still a text object, we just go number 2 or 102. Text is selected. Excellent. Export wavefront OBJ as 102. Look at that. It's a one-click thing. Export. Come on. 103. Export 104. Tomorrow, I'm thinking, I've received a viewer question from somebody who had a relatively simple question about animations in DAZ Studio. So his question was, how do you export animations once you've set them up? And that's actually a more involved answer than file export, or file render image sequence. There's a bigger thing that's going on there, which is animation workflow in general. And I was thinking maybe tomorrow we can cover that, and I'll go through how I would do it. And we set up, it's not so much about setting up the animation, but once you've set it up, then what do you do? How do you preview it? And what are the steps to getting a relatively quick preview render that you can have a look at and tweak? And then how do you organize yourself around making sure it becomes a larger thing that you want to use? So that's the plan for tomorrow. So in DAZ Studio then, let's go and switch Iray off for a second and also go into perspective view here. Let's go and import all the other numbers. I'll put the scene tab back here so I can have a whole group with lots of numbers in here. So same as before, I would imagine they appear in exactly the same position now. One or two. Oh yeah, so the only thing that is different is that we just need to reposition the camera because the 2 and the forthcoming numbers are a little bit just a little bit wider there. But other than that, the principle still works well. I'll just go import all the numbers first, and then we can I import more than one object into DAZ Studio? Of course you can't. Why would that be possible? Who would ever want to do that? No, you have to do it one by one. It's much easier to do that. Let's put more mouse clicks in the workflow because we all like that. 5, 6. And then also make sure the focus is not on accept so that people can't just hit return, or you have to navigate there with your mouse. Thank you, DAZ. That's really helpful. It's the sarcasm hour. Jay's unpopular opinion. 108, there we go. That's the last one. And now I'll focus on the number 2, I guess. Might even make a new camera. I might do that. I'll just leave the, no, actually I won't. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna just go and move this over here, move it back ever so slightly. Ah, yes, no, but when I do that, no, that's not a good idea. Let me do that with the parameters, because otherwise if I do it with the viewport, the middle of the lights won't be lined up. So if I instead use the what is that, the X translate of the camera, that should, oh no, it doesn't actually do that. What a shame. Okay, well, I guess we have to just rotate the camera ever so slightly in addition to that. But that's fine. We can do that. We can do that. So go and rotate that to about here. Let's have our thirds guide again, just so that we don't tank, you know. It's always good to line up grids with other grids. That was a bit much, wasn't it? So something like that. Good thing is it doesn't have to be precise. I'm just looking at this line here and that line. I'd like to have them completely parallel. That's my plan. And I like to have the lights absolutely in the middle there. All of these conditions shall be satisfied, I say. And if we can't do that well, then this is going to be good enough. Oh, that was the wrong one. So aspect and then rule of thirds guide off. So then the other thing I need to do is add the material to all these guys. So add the copper to that, and literally to any other number. You have to select the surface. You can't just not select the surface, otherwise the Iray shader isn't applied to the surface. If there's nothing selected in the editor, then DAZ Studio doesn't tend to do that. Okay, let's render number 102. Ooh, really? How exciting! Ah, 102 takes a little bit longer to render. I like the impact it has. I do like that. I just thought because of the mask we need to apply around this, I might just go and give that a little bit more breathing space on the outside. So that'll probably help in Photoshop, so that we just have a little bit more room to play with. And for some reason that actually looks better on the O when I'm going further away with the camera. It doesn't make that much sense. But hey, so be it. So that's 2. Then we'll go and render number 3. Whoops, that's number 4. Let's go number 3. I feel like it should be more like that. Well, we'll see what it looks like when it's rendered. Sometimes previews give you the wrong idea. Yes, I suppose it's just unbalanced that there is the O is still the one we're looking into in the middle, and it's kind of yeah. I'm it's a YouTube thumbnail. It'll be this big. It's fine. It's yes, please do, Rod. And you know what you were saying about the amount of adverts popping up on Renderosity, especially on mobile. Yeah, that is little bit disconcerting, isn't it? So I get these things all the time at the bottom there, and there's just so many of them now. So at the bottom of my phone, there's always little, little bits and pieces popping up. Ah, so with the number 4, it's almost like we want to have perhaps a little light in the 4 inside there. Yeah, just duplicate one of those lights and put it inside the 4. That might look cool. Or it might look pants. That's also very possible. Let's try it out while we're in a merry mood here. And say the tunnel light from the front. Let's go and duplicate that and just put that in here. Edit, duplicate the tunnel light 4. Tunnel light 4. And I'll just go and make sure this thing uses the global coordinates, world coordinates. Don't exactly know where we need to put it just yet. Yeah, sadly. It's coming together here. I think I'm just going to go move it slightly further forward, so I think we can see some reflections here. But if I move it further forward, I think we'll be able to see more reflections. That's the Z thing. Yeah, there we go, like this. And then now I can actually see it's kind of buried in there. There, that might be nice. Oh, without the light, you say, Joe? It doesn't make that big a difference. I had hoped it was gonna create a few spectacle things like these here. Oh, see what that looks like. It barely makes a difference, but I think I'll leave it like this so we can see a few extra light edges here. Steve, some websites you can't read anymore. There's like an article which is 300 words, and for that you have to endure like 50 adverts. I mean, some people really go over the top with that. I mean, I have Google Ads enabled on my websites as well. And they do make a bit of money, I must say. So they make like $30, $40 a month, all adverts combined on my websites. But the way the code used to work is that you got a piece of code that would display one piece of advertising, and then if you wanted another piece somewhere else, you had to put a second piece of code into a different part of the website. So like, for example, you put one piece of code at the top that puts the advert in there, and you put another one in the footer or in the middle of the text or something. But the way that Google have done it now is that it doesn't work like that anymore. And it's essentially because mobile traffic ads must look different than desktop ads. And it depends on your screen resolution of what type of ads are being served. So Google, being clever as they are, went ahead and said, hey, we've got like one script that does it all. And all you need to do is put one piece of code on your website, and we will take care of however many adverts we can fit on the site. And that is how it works now. So they give you one piece of code, and that is what you're going to have to. That is essentially how. That's essentially how the how all the adverts are generated by one piece of code. But then some websites are with more than one companies. So there's Google Ads, but there's also other companies that do more or less the same thing. And I think they put both types of codes on there, sometimes three. So you have like three companies filling up a website with like 7 ads each. And you think, where's the content again? Because all I see is videos and slide here and do this. And you go, it's getting out of hand. I'll duplicate that one as well. I'll switch this one off. I'm going to organize this better in a little bit. I'm going to just call this one Tunnel Light 6. So that I can position this independently of the light with the number 4. Because this one I'm thinking could probably do with being a bit more further down here and perhaps like slightly inside the number 6 down here. I can imagine that that'll look good. It might not though. let's see what it is. No, indeed, because I suppose these adverts are now designed so that that ad blockers are less effective. I've seen websites in which I had to disable the ad blocker for the website to work properly. Like, pop-up windows is one thing, but there's other things like accepting certain information, like cookie information, and that's usually disabled in some of the browsers that I'm using. And on some websites, you have to disable the ad blocker just so that the website works. It's crazy stuff. I might just make that light stronger. I'd like for that to be, yeah, maybe I will move it forward again, like we had with the 4. I think the 4 had a good position there for some extra reflections there. Yeah, exactly, once. I might see what happens with a slightly stronger light here. So I like the fact that we see the reflection here and there. I'll just see what happens if we go and make that just that tad stronger. With maybe another extra 0. Doesn't make a difference. I like it. I like it. Interesting. Thank you, Rod. I'm glad you like it. It's sometimes I like going through. I don't like going through so much trouble to just write out a simple number, but I do like it when the result is something that I can say, hey, I really like that, and I can be proud of that. It's like a bit like case in point the music that I was talking about earlier. It was when I listened to the first versions of the music bed that I had there, I was thinking, I like the music bed, but I don't quite like the way it distracts from my voice. I'll do the same with the 7 here. I'll put an extra special 7 light in here. And this, hello. Where are you? Because you're not visible. Poor little guy. I'll put that somewhere here. Oh, see what that looks like. It looks so good. We're going to re-render all these scenes and put more lights by the 1 as well. See, this made all the difference. Now this is, you don't see the light, but you see that this is now just a bit more brightened up here. Should we put a light here as well? I mean, they render really fast, so I'm thinking maybe just duplicate that light and put it over here. And then we do need to start getting organized, because otherwise, man. So this was going to be tunnel light 1. Tunnel light 1 goes over here. And thank you for the tip of the render slots, by the way, Steve. I did try that out earlier, and it is it does work quite well. I understand render slots now in Blender. I've never used them before. I tried that this morning. I thought, hey, that's really nice. This has a much less of an effect than this thing has over here, doesn't it? I'm not making that up. I thought this is going to go brighten up this whole corner thing here. Oh, it's because it's not in the corner, is it? There. Fascinating. Doesn't do at all what I was trying to get there. Interesting, isn't it? I find that fascinating. You copy an object, it's active, you know what it does. You duplicate that, put it in a different position, it doesn't work like it worked a minute ago. Totally unpredictable. Just, it never ceases to amaze me. Hey, good thing I'm not questioning these things. I'm just, I just work here. All right, now we have the same with the number 8. Does the number 6 light work with the number 8? That'd be quite nice. Like the one, like angle it towards the left, you mean, Rod? Yeah, that kind of works. I'll just leave the number 6 and 8 there. So maybe I'll go rename the light 6 and 8 light. And that's 108. There we go. Oh dear. And then who's in charge, right? Because it's then it's all of a sudden it's all about the robots and the machines are happy and the software's updated, and you think, where am I in all this? Am I ever get to do I ever get to play with any of these things? Like Julia, for example, she finished her workday and she thought, well, I'll go play some Fortnite now. And what happens? Fortnite says, I need to download 40 gigabytes of stuff now. And you go, oh, really? Is it 40? Is it 70? So 70 gigabytes in total, that thing. Also can't embed more than one image at a time. That's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Maybe I'll try and do that with a stack. I'll try if that works. Sometimes Photoshop gets it wrong with images that have transparencies in them. It tries and lines it all up and gets rid of the transparent space, and you think, oh, Photoshop, super unhelpful. So I hope it's not going to happen now. All I wanted to do is, thank you, Christina, excellent. I'll have a look at that in a second. All I wanted to do was have one big group of stuff that I can just go and copy in there. Numbers, and I'll go and duplicate that into our streaming thumbnail thing, and then we don't need the stack anymore. And here they all are. I'll put that underneath the number 1 here, and this mask, ideally I'm gonna the number isn't quite correct since we've changed the camera position there. But once that's in place, I'm thinking I should be able to apply that whole mask to the group rather than to each individual layer. That's the plan, at least. That should do the trick. Okay, let's see what Christina has worked out in regards to magic there. How do I get to that? Save? Indeed. Have you saved it? Yes, saved it. Very good. All right, so that is now in my downloads folder, and it was called 101. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Very cool. That's how, so you've hand painted that in, right? Oh my God, yeah, I can see the work that you've done here. My goodness. Wow. Christina, that was a huge amount of work. Wow. But I mean, of course, I mean, the now the light reflections on the inside of the tunnel are kind of gone. I thought that was I thought we wanted to get them in there. I liked the little light streaks, so you've kind of taken them away now. I kind of liked them there. I thought we were gonna multiply them so that we had more of them there. That's what I thought we were gonna do. See, this is why I didn't understand you. I think that's why I didn't get it. I thought we were talking about these little light streaks, and we're just gonna have more of them on the inside of the thing. Nicely done. So, how will I now integrate this 0 into the rest of the numbers? Luckily, it's kind of the dominant figure here, so yeah, you can do that. Okay, great. I'll go and send the thing over to you. I'll just put all the numbers in on Discord, shall I? I'll just put that in the same channel there. Let me go quickly do that. I think it's easiest if I go and just so you can actually see that. That's not actually a problem. I think I can just go drag them in here. That should be quick and easy. So actually, let me do, we've changed the camera position ever so slightly on all the other numbers. So I'll go and maybe see if you can work with this. I'm happy to re-render number 1 because it's got a different size and position and to the other ones. So I'm happy to redo that if that helps you out. Let's go and do that quickly, because then the tunnel light 8, and then we go and just make the number 1 again. And then it's this one here. Let's go and do that again like that. I'll call that number 101A, just if it helps, you know. It is the same 0, yes, but we changed the camera position because I framed up the 101 for the number, not realizing that obviously from number 2 onwards the numbers get fatter, so I had to zoom out a little bit, and also to account for a little bit of extra space around it. It would work better with the mask. So I'll call that one 101A. But I'm sure you can fix it. You can put it in. I'm sure you can. Didn't I just save that in here? Oh, there it is. There. All right. Do you know, we need to have a look at it. By the way, this is a really good point. I also like what I did, Joel, by the way. But there's something I always forget when any of these things happen. So I'll go and switch off the other numbers here and just go test this with the number 102. One thing we must always remember is when this is something that is for YouTube and for a thumbnail, we have to all look at it really small and then see if, because this is literally the size we're aiming for. And if that works, then we're good. It's also important to remember that before we spend 3 hours of work in something of that size, that you gotta weigh up the pros and cons and see how important is this to do. So I think at this size, I think the number could be smaller. So I think I'll make that a little bit smaller, and then I'll add the little masky thing. Yeah, so sometimes it'll appear like this, but that's the maximum size we're going to get out of this. You guys still have floppy disks? That's rad. I tell you, rad that is. Since the size of this number is different, I think I'm going to go and start again with the whole mask drawing affair. Like so. Those were the days. And do you remember how long it took to install Windows from however many floppy disks was it? Five floppy disks? Was that what it was? I don't quite remember. modify feather, boom. And I think now, I don't know if this works, but I think I want to just apply the mask to the whole group. That should work. So then we only have to do this once, and then no matter which number we select, that mask is always going to be active here. And then also, if I wanted to make the whole group smaller now, as I said, we're just gonna have to make that a little bit smaller, like so. Could even be a little bit, could be even a little bit smaller, couldn't it? Yeah, let's make it a bit smaller still, like that, and then we can move it up a bit. Oops. Dude. Really? Well, that's supposed to happen from the middle when I hold something down here, wasn't that how it works? And it's definitely the Alt key. Why are you doing that, Photoshop? You're totally annoying. Oh, because I'm doing that with the mask, aren't I? I need to select the whole. There we go. Is that how it works? Yes, that's. God. Yeah. Or larger. I don't know. What do you think? Number larger? Considering it'll be a thumbnail. Number larger or smaller? I'll do it larger just so that we can all have a gander at it. Oops. Maybe larger. Maybe I like it larger now. Larger. Good. Okay. I don't quite remember the contents of these episodes, so I'll have to invent something there later. I'll just go and put some dummy text in that this was that number. I can probably I can kind of cannibalize this this layer here, and I'll go just make that a bit smaller, probably around 100 maybe. Whoops, sorry. As I said, 100 maybe. Maybe that's a bit too small. What did I use here? What's the size I used here? That was 160, and maybe then 120. Maybe I will stay with 160 then. And title goes here, something along those lines, and we'll go and make that centered, perhaps centered or right aligned. I'm not sure yet. And that will be, try auto. Auto's usually a little bit too spaced out for me. I like it a bit more set in. Maybe I do like that. Yes, something along those lines. Or left align, I can't tell. Then if we were to do it left aligned, then the space doesn't count, so that's maybe left aligned. There's also with thumbnails is also that YouTube usually puts some text in the top here, and the time is in the bottom right corner. Those are also things that, depending on which layout you look at, you gotta always look at that. So if you put your own logo in the bottom right, then often that's not going to be seen on a thumbnail because YouTube slapped the kind of the time on there. So under the numbers, you're saying kind of. We can also, let's try left aligned. Let's try that. Or we can just put it like down here. So hoping to not make a second line, we can also do that. Well, I think this is kind of the space in which we can Usually titles are also longer, so let's title goes here, which is much longer. You know, sometimes titles are just way longer. Or you have to condense it to 2 lines. I think I'm going to stick myself to 2 lines there. I'm just going to try and name the episodes so that they're not going over 2 lines. Or also make it smaller. That's also possible. Perhaps it doesn't have to be that large. Yeah, so maybe that this and that is kind of aligned, that we're thinking about this as a box through which we shouldn't go. Yeah, I'll see about the alignment. This could work. That could work. That looks handsome enough to me as a thumbnail. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I like it as well. Let's try it out with a few different numbers. Like, let's try it with the number 108, 107. It works really well. I like it. 104, 102. That's nice. And we have a 101, which we have as another thing. Let's go and put the number in that Christina made for us. See what that looks like. This I'm gonna go and those are a lot of layers. Can I merge visible? Merge visible. There we go. These are they not visible? No, yeah, they're not visible. So then this is going to be 101 fixed, and I'll go do. Oh no! Don't do that. Who put delete so close to duplicate? And that I'll try and put that in the same. It's difficult to say if we need that because Christina. Oh no, I think we still need to do that. So I'll try and put it. It's kind of eyeballing where that mask is. So I need to go and maybe just line it up with a number. With that number underneath it. So I'll go and just drop the opacity of that number down a second while I line this up. That's kind of close enough. Let's go crank that opacity up again. And this is what Christina's version looks like. I do actually like the light streaks in the middle myself. I've grown accustomed to them. Yeah, I think we need the light streaks. That just adds that extra pizzazz in the middle there. Yeah, buzzer, maybe we need to install that. You've mixed it, essentially. What was it called again? Streaming 101 in renders. And this one's called Check It. You've mixed it, you've blended it in, Christina. I've really grown attached to the light streaks. I'm afraid. I think I want to use the light streaks. I mean, considering it is a tiny version like this, I think I'd like that. But thank you for your help. Yeah, I think I'll leave that. The non-streak version, half streak version, and the full streak version. I think I'll stick with the full streak version. Now I need to review what the titles actually were in all these episodes. I think I have that on Vimeo. I think I've given them kind of rough titles, but I don't recall what they were. So yes, I shall be doing that. Absolutely, yes, absolutely. It's just, it's like yesterday's streams were a perfect example. Sometimes you spend a lot of work on something and then you find that's actually not what we're looking for. It happens with creativity, and I think it's always important to not take any of that personally. It's like I take things personally when I make a mistake myself, and I'm thinking I'm giving myself a hard time for having wasted my own time. But it's not quite like that. I always have to make a conscious effort to remind myself of the fact that it's not about having wasted time. It's part of the creative process to go down one way and realize it's not really what I wanted, and then that's totally fine. My friends, thank you so much for hanging. I'm going to call it a night. Chris is going to be here at 7 p.m. That's in 15 minutes. I think I'm just going to, end it here. And thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow, I'm going to make an introduction for the series tomorrow, like walking around here at the marina and talk about what the series is all about. And then I shall release it on YouTube. I was thinking at first perhaps to release the series one episode a day, but since they're all kind of ready to go, I think I'm going to go and push them all out in one kind of binge-watchable playlist. So the playlist is the one that I sent out earlier. Maybe I'll go and post that again in the stream. If you do want to catch it, or if you would want to have a look at the works in progress, here it is. New series, live, and binge-watchable next week. There we go. Perfection. Chris, if you're ready, I'm going to rate you at the end of this. I'm just going to stay on the air until I see you coming up, and I will see you cool cats tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.